couldn't help it. But the soul I got on my own. For you.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most surprising, season-altering television twists in history. Watch out for a spoiler-heavy roller coaster ahead.
We're the part that stayed. We're the part that changed him.
Number 10, The Bad Place, The Good Place. We loved The Good Place, and while the whole series was fantastic, the first season really set the standard.
There's been a big mistake. I'm not supposed to be here.
Wait, what?
That's largely because the team cooked up one of the best end-of-season twists of all time. At first, Eleanor and company are trying to navigate the ins and outs of the so-called good place following their deaths. Though they're supposed to be in a utopia, things seem to go wrong at every single turn. Then, Eleanor finally figures out the gambit. It turns out, the good place is actually the bad place. Everything that's happened to our four main characters has been orchestrated to help them hurt each other. It turns everything completely on its head, and brilliantly so.
Shall we?
You know what, bro? Do your worst. We figured it out once, we can do it again. Because you know what, Michael? Ya basic.
Number 9. Long Live David Clark. Revenge.
When the central story of your television show revolves around one character being dead, it can be pretty shocking to learn that said character is actually alive and well.
You know how much I love you, Amanda?
Infinity.
Well, infinity times infinity.
Revenge follows a young woman, Amanda Clark, who moves to the Hamptons under a false name, Emily. She wants to get revenge on the Grayson family, who are seemingly responsible for the death of her father, David, years before.
My father's chance to bring justice to the truly guilty was stolen from him. His only option was to forgive. I have others.
But at the end of season 3, the patriarch, Conrad Grayson, has just fled prison and is joined by a mysterious driver. Except that driver is none other than David Clark himself.
No, it can't be. David.
Yep, Amanda's father has been alive the whole time, reframing everything that happened that season and the ones before. Number 8. Ilam is behind it all. Squid Game. There's arguably nothing more unassuming than an elderly man on TV, especially an elderly man with a tumor forced to play a bunch of deadly childhood games.
And let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
In Squid Game, we're introduced to Ilnam as one of the players. After he loses a game to our main character, Gian, we're led to believe that he's killed.
나 이름이 생각났어. 내 이름은 일람이야. 오, 일람.
But in the season finale, a year after the main events of the series, Gian is taken to see a very much alive Ilnam on his deathbed. We learn that Ilnam was the orchestrator of the games. He created them so the wealthy could be entertained by the plight of the poor and participated just for fun. It makes us look back on every moment with new eyes.
왜 그러시는지 여쭤봐도 되겠습니까?
보는 것이 하는 것보다 더 재미있을 수가 없지.
Number 7. Agatha All Along. WandaVision. Sometimes a character is introduced and you just know something is up. And when you cast Catherine Hahn, we have to assume she's going to have a pretty important role.
Well, it feels like we've always been together.
Lucky gal. The only way Ralph would remember our anniversary is if there was a beer named June 2nd.
But we could have never guessed the extent of Agatha's involvement in Wanda's manipulated WandaVision life. Han first appears as Wanda's wacky neighbor Agnes.
That you should stumble when you walk into a room so he can catch you. It's romantic.
Any other tricks?
You could point out that the death rate of single men is twice that of married men.
But in the 7th episode, she's revealed to be the witch Agatha Harkness, and we learn she's been responsible for the major disruptions to Wanda's life. With a fantastic musical sequence, the show even takes us back through major moments and demonstrates just how much of an impact Agatha had.
Now that everything has gone wrong, thanks to Agatha, naughty Agatha. It's been
Number 6. Thaisa sleepwalks. Yellowjackets. Throughout the first season of Yellowjackets, we're led to believe that something is definitely up with Thaisa. We eventually learn that she deals with sleepwalking, but it's not your run-of-the-mill stuff, which is revealed in the most shockingly twisty of ways.
If we're stuck out here long enough, I have a feeling it'll come out one way or another.
In the 2021 timeline, Thaisa's son complains about a woman in a tree outside of their house. Though she initially thinks he's imagining things, it ultimately becomes clear that there is indeed a lady. It's her. When she's asleep at night, her alter ego takes over and does horrifying things. It's a wonderful setup for what's to come as the story progresses and shines new light on both timelines.
No, Ty.
He's seen me do it, Shauna. He's seen me do it. He thinks there's some other version of me. He calls it the bad one.
Number 5. Spike Gets a Soul. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Throughout the later seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we're not quite sure what to think about Spike.
You got any more ready tests for me, Ponce? I'll take anything you can throw at me, if it'll get me what I need to take care of the Slayer.
We know he has feelings for Buffy, yet it also seems like he might be trying to defeat her. Hey, he did start out as a full-blown villain after all. But then, we learn that's not the case. It's quite the opposite, in fact. Spike fought for the opportunity to regain his soul, and succeeded in doing so he could be good enough for Buffy.
Why would you
do shame on you. Why does a man do what he mustn't for her to be hers?
It's surprising in the moment, but looking back on it, everything about Spike's decision makes sense. It's the rare season-defining twist that's imbued with sweetness rather than shock value.
So yeah, I go and pass the time with someone. But that's all it is time. Because God help me, Buffy, it's still all about you.
Number 4. Not the Elliot we thought. Mr. Robot. You know those plot twists that come in at the end of a show's run and find a way to make you question everything you've watched up until that point? Well, this is one of those.
I know you're afraid, but the fear you have is a right one. It means you'll be forever vigilant.
Throughout Mr. Robot, we get to know Elliot, a hacker with dissociative identity disorder. Twists and turns abound as we learn the title character is Elliot's creation, and we understand we can't always trust the protagonist to be a reliable narrator.
Why would I trust any of you? You've been trying to kill me.
We've been trying to show you the truth, and you've been resisting.
Not this again.
Still, we believe our main window into the story is really him, not one identity that's taken over his body. And yet, the series finale reveals that this is exactly what was going on, with the mastermind having been in charge.
Even though we'll be gone, it's like Mr. Robot said. We'll always be a part of Elliot Alderson.
Number 3. It's in the past. Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica is one of the best science fiction shows in recent memory, but it has one thing going for it that many others don't. It doesn't actually take place in the future.
There are certain things that we've all done, certain things that people would be shocked to learn about.
That's right! After a miniseries and 4 seasons, the beloved show ended by revealing that Battlestar Galactica takes place in the past. When our beloved battleship finally lands on Earth, it's during prehistoric times.
Human beings naturally evolved on a planet 1 million light years away. The odds against that are
astronomical, yeah.
Though the characters vowed to eschew their technology, the epilogue tells us that 150,000 years later, things evolved much like they did in the real world. After all, this has happened before, and it can happen again.
Technology run amok? Remind you of anything?
Take your pick. Copal. Earth. The real Earth before this one.
Number 2, George is John Doe, Grey's Anatomy.
I joined the Army to be a trauma surgeon. I report for duty tomorrow.
You did what?
Yeah, that's where I thought we'd start.
It's always surprising when a main character is killed off. But because this is Grey's Anatomy, of course they had to do things in the most upsetting way possible. In the season 5 finale, a John Doe is brought to the hospital after he jumps in front of a bus to rescue a woman and is hit himself.
Unidentified male, dragged by a bus. He's clamped down so he couldn't innovate.
Didn't they stop when they hit him?
Bus driver didn't know he was there until he got halfway down the block.
His face has been wrecked and he's unrecognizable, but he keeps trying to write something for Meredith. When she finally figures out what it is, she starts freaking out. The John Doe is tracing 007, George O'Malley's hospital nickname.
It's George! It's George! It's George! John Doe is George!
George is the man who was hit by the bus, and his subsequent passing marks a turning point for the show. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Big dies, and just like that, Carrie's whole world changes.
John! Oh God! Oh God, John! Oh, John, honey!
Double Agent, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ward showed his true Hydra colors.
Sicilian backup team. A no-show, of course. So I dropped into the skylight, used up my whole mag, and hit the final guy in the chest with a flare gun. Boy, you should have seen the look on that guy's face.
The Bent Neck Lady, The Haunting of Hill House. Nell's haunting fate is revealed.
It's time to wake up, sweetheart.
Violet is a Ghost, American Horror Story. She wasn't saved after all.
I never wanted you to see this. I'm so sorry, Violet.
Bernard is a Robot, Westworld. Nothing could have prepared us for the reveal that he's a host.
I was a father. My poor boy.
That's enough, Bernard. Doesn't get yourself worked up.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Flash Forwards, Lost. Lost is one of the quintessential mystery box shows. As such, twists and turns define its legacy, like when we learn that Ethan isn't on the plane's manifest in the first season.
One of them isn't in the manifest. He wasn't on the plane.
Hello there.
But the biggest plot twist of all, and maybe one of the most effective ever, came in the 2-part season 3 finale. Flashbacks became a central part of Lost episodes, and for most of this one, we think that's what we're watching as Jack struggles.
There was no funeral, sir, only a viewing. Nobody showed up.
Nobody? You sure?
Just you. My deepest condolences.
Then, eventually, he meets up with none other than Kate. As he tells her that they need to return to the island, we realize that we're watching a flash forward, not a flashback.
We were not supposed to leave.
Yes, we were.
Did we miss any of your favorite jaw-dropping twists? Let us know in the comments below.
We have to go back!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.